Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of this Black Girl podcast. It is your girl, Ola dot Miss dot Lola without the H. And thank you for tuning in for another week. I'm joined by the lovely Mr.
Hi.
And I appreciate the patience with last week. Last week was last weekend, okay? It was robust, it was full, it was overwhelming, it was overflowing. And I appreciate the patience while we had to take a small pause, but we back again, deep in it. So let's get into
And I'm sure you'll all be happy to know that the kitchen looks great.
it. Yeah, we had to deal with some kitchen stuff, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways, so the first topic that we wanted to just kind of like get into and discuss is actually a segue off of a previous situation that happened, I guess, with social media. Most people know this situation as the Cheesecake Factory Girl. If you don't, long story short, a woman posted to social media about a guy who was taking her out on a date. I believe it was the first date, and he took her to the Cheesecake Factory. She was so turned off. She was so unimpressed. She refused to get out of the car. She refused to like open her door when he went out to open the door for her. And when he got back in the car to discuss it, she was pretty much. It felt like she was trying to shame him. She was trying to embarrass him.
I mean, it didn't just feel like it. Like, there's a reason why you press record. It's because you're gonna shame him. You know
I
what I
mean,
mean? Like,
fair,
I was just about to say, like, part of what also I don't like about this situation is like, if you're gonna be in your feelings, that's fine, but you don't have to put your feelings on social media.
fair, fair. I mean, so that's what it was. So she was trying to shame him, but like, no tea, no shade. My guy pulled the Uno reverso. I loved it because he pretty much explained the reason why they were at the Cheesecake Factory was because the reservation for the quote unquote ideal restaurant that she would have preferred to go to, they had missed the reservation because she took over an hour to come out of her home to go on this date with them. And he specified to her multiple occasions, the day before and the day of, hey, I need you to be ready for this particular time for our date. And he was there at said time and essentially waited an hour for her.
An hour outside, didn't let him in the house. I didn't know him yet, and was like, "You can't come into my house."
Yeah. So he sat outside for an hour and then, still undeterred by that, still wanted to take her out on a date. And she was unimpressed because it was quote unquote Cheesecake Factory. So he furthermore did the most respectable thing and said, like, okay, well, if you're not going to be happy with this option, I'm just going to bring you home.
Dude noped out like a gentleman, like I'll say. Like, and I don't blame him because if I was there too, I would just be like, if I'm gonna ask you out, I want to at least try to have a good time.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
you're just gonna be miserable and complaining no matter what I do, then yeah, I don't really want to hang out.
Well, I don't blame him. That's a bit of a turnoff where it's like, you
It's a huge
know,
turn.
we agreed to meet up for a particular time. You had no consideration for my time. You were late. You can't even say you didn't know because you provided multiple opportunities for you to know the specified time. And then because his alternative option wasn't to your quote unquote standard, you attempted to make him feel bad. First of all, maybe I'm basic, but the Cheesecake Factory is a cute date. If that was a first date, I would not be turned off by that. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Am I basic?
Um, I don't think you're basic. I mean, like, I don't know what it is. It's like everybody has their kind of like sit down restaurants that they like or don't like. And
Hmm.
I feel like part of the problem is that like it's starting to become this big mishmash, you know what I mean? Where it's just like every single place is off the list. But I will say, like, this woman had such delusional energy. Like, crazy, crazy, crazy delusional energy because this guy, like, literally from top to bottom did everything right. Like, she's mad at him that he couldn't pull off a second miracle,
Yeah, I mean,
even a third miracle, because, like, getting the spot was probably tough, and then getting the backup spot was probably tough, but not being able to get the backup spot at the first spot is what set her off, and it's like, what do you like, he's not a magician. He's not a sorcerer.
right. I mean, but put it this way, I guess he never told her like, "Hey, we missed our reservation, but this is where we're gonna go instead." He just tried to like save face and be like, "Okay, so we're gonna go here." But like again, I'm trying to understand as a first date, it's not like he didn't bring you to McDonald's. You know how many I am so disgusted, okay, to hear how many people bring people out on dates to like McDonald's, Tim Hortons, and like all these little fast food chain restaurants. And I understand, like, look, know your limit, budget within it. If you don't have a certain amount of money to be going to a certain type of restaurant and that is what you can afford, that's fine. I'm not going to shame anybody's pockets. They're making the best of what they have. But when I feel a way when you hear people criticizing like, "Oh, I have this and I have that. I got it like that. What do you bring to the table? Blah blah blah." But then they're like, "Oh yeah, you want to date with me? All right, let's go out for coffee." What? Mr. Big Standards, Mr. High Standards, Mr. High Value wants to go to Tim Hortons? Dunkin' Donuts? Bro, not even a Starbucks. Dunkin' Donuts? Bye. No, absolutely not. You cannot tell me with your whole chest that you're high value while also trying to bring somebody to a $2 coffee date in the sense of quote unquote low investment. If we're going to talk about value and keep it a buck, if you were having a business meeting with one of your associates, are you bringing somebody to do business at Tim Hortons? Or are you going to Aroma? Or are you going to somewhere a bit fancier and then still no, guess what? The receipt's gonna get written off because it's an expense. You see it as an investment, do you not?
I mean, I think that's pretty fair. Although honestly, like, I feel like not to both sides it, but I
Mm,
really feel like in this kind of situation, we start getting into a both sides kind of place because it's also like, again, like you were saying, like, what's wrong with Cheesecake Factory?
no,
Like
I agree. And
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
if you don't like this whole like, oh, what do you bring to the table? To me, it's also a little weird to then turn around and be like, I don't like that kind of talk. It's not about this kind of value. But also, I won't go out with you if you go to the wrong restaurant. If the restaurant we go to is not expensive enough, then I'm actually not going to go out with you. It's like, well, then, okay, then you're inviting the question of what kind of value you bring to the table because you've made it transactional.
that is fair. But that's where I'm also kind of addressing the fact of how you're presenting. Like if if you're presenting yourself as like, you know, an everyday guy or an everyday girl, you have a job, a nice wholesome family, you're looking for certain types of, whatever in your relationship. I want to call that like kind of middle of the road where it's like you don't want anything that's too low, but you don't want anything that's too over the top. You're okay with like kind of falling in the middle and that's what you're looking for. You should like I don't expect a person who aligns with that kind of interest or values in a relationship to be doing the most or the least at the same time. You get what I'm saying? Like I'm not expecting somebody who works like a middle like middle wage type of job or middle class kind of income to always be taking me to, Michelin star restaurants and super expensive restaurants constantly because that's out of their tax bracket. You get what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
sorry, and then just to speak further on the flip side, you can't also be a low income earner or middle income earner constantly expecting high either. Because here's my thing: if you can't afford it on your own, or go out with your girls or whoever to afford that, and want to go that to a place like that on your own time and dime, you have no you have no business asking or expecting somebody else to give it to you.
Like again, unfortunately, this is another both sides thing. But like, let's be real, pretty privilege is crazy.
A thousand
It gets
percent.
people crazy.
A
And
thousand percent.
it's 100% men's fault too, because men encourage this behavior. They fall in line with this behavior.
Mm.
We like to watch 90 Day Fiance. Gino is one of these men.
Oh God.
1,000,000%. So I know they exist. I don't think it's good, but seriously, like some of these girls and the stuff that they expect is wild, wild.
Like, I don't know. Again, maybe it's just like there's nothing wrong with wanting the best. I like to think that I have fairly high standards, but I don't think I'm unreasonable.
I don't even necessarily think it's about wanting the best. What I think it is just like the reason why it's not like, oh, the reason I think what it is that people don't want to be treated thoughtlessly. They don't want to feel like this is date 102 and you're just going through the motions and you're just the newest person sitting across the table. They want to feel like you put some thought into what you're going to do
Hmm.
and where you're taking them.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're just like, oh, there's this chain restaurant, like, this chain sit down place nearby, that place is good enough. Like, yeah, I understand how that can feel thoughtless. Or like, even just saying like, hey, like let's just go to Starbucks or whatever. That doesn't feel super great.
Right. I mean, well, here's okay, and here's where I feel like where something is being missed. I feel as though um between the introduction slash talking phase and then going on said date, there's a lot of relationship building missing, because I feel like you should be getting to know the person, understanding their values, setting expectations, like having those little gems and pieces so that when you do take the person on the date, you have ways and knowledge and tools to show the thoughtfulness without it just being like, well, what expensive restaurant did you book for us to go?
And I feel like part of the problem here too is that at least to me,
Mm.
when I was still on the dating market, the first time you meet up is not necessarily your first date. Like there is 100% a lot of value to having a low stakes first meetup just to make sure you guys vibe in real life and nobody's crazy. I think that's fine. If you're like, hey, we're gonna meet up, we're gonna have a little coffee, and then the second time we go out, we're going to dinner, we're doing something. I think that's fine. People need to get over it. Your first meetup is not necessarily your first date. Date zero is a real thing.
I feel like date zero applies if, again, like you said, low stakes. So it's like I'm not looking to really build a relationship. I'm just seeing what kind of like vibes, chemistry, attraction we have. And if it's just like sexual where we find each other attractive, no, where we find each other attractive, but I have no interest in dating you, then maybe it's like a sneaky link. It becomes a sneaky link or whatever. And it becomes low effort. Y'all just text each other, you up, and things happen. Or it's like, oh no, I actually really like this person. I feel a connection. I want to pursue it further and I want to date that person. And then you guys go out on a few more formal dates.
Yeah, or even, the first part just doesn't happen. Like sometimes it literally is just you guys meet up to see how you vibe and the vibe's off and nothing happens.
Yeah, no, I agree to that too. Definitely a third alternative to the situation. But
But like,
I don't know.
I think that the problem is like the ambiguity, right? Like ultimately it needs to be communicated to make sure it's not ambiguous.
Right.
But I think that a big part of it is like there is a lot of ambiguity because I am a person who's like I like to have a coffee date as a first date. You get to sit and talk with the person, and that's nice. You get to know them.
You didn't take me on a coffee date.
I know,
I'm just saying.
I know, but
Uh
you didn't like them, and I knew that, so I didn't do it.
I mean that's also fair.
Communication.
Well, okay, and this is where I'm saying that there's something lacking in that initial talking and getting to know one another phase. because if you feel like the expectations leading up to this date or whatnot is not clear, that there needs to be quote unquote a date zero to feel things out, that's low stakes, quote unquote low investment. I feel like then there was not an effective use or time in getting to know each other before making it like a real life kind of meetup.
I just don't think you can get to know each other fully without meeting in person just over text. And I also feel like some people are just more comfortable getting to know someone face to face in person than they are over text. And I think that's fine and valid.
I mean, it's possible. I'm not gonna act like it's impossible because like I'm sure we've had our own experiences where what it's like over text versus in real life is like two different situations. And I know I've seen that with like, other friends and other people too, where they've had those experiences where like, oh, this person sounds so amazing. Oh, I can't wait to meet them. Oh, it's gonna be the best. And then they do and they're like, oh my God, you know?
Yeah.
So
Y- Yeah, and I think like it's fine to do a hit check. It's fine to do a date zero. It's fine to try to like get to know somebody in a way that you guys feel comfortable. But again, that's up to like people to communicate to one another.
well, yeah, yeah. The communication, I feel like that process has definitely has deteriorated.
I don't know if it's deteriorated.
It's suffering.
I no. I feel like here's my hot takes, I guess. Hot take alert.
Yeah.
Do we have a sound drop for that? Damn. Um, I think that I remember seeing this post online a while back, and it
Uh-huh.
was somebody like posting like, "Oh, cute couple, 1960s or whatever, sitting in a malt ice cream shop or whatever. Oh, romance used to be so whatever back then." And then some older person was like, "Yeah, but what they don't tell you is like they'd fucking leave you the city if you didn't fucking blow them on the way back home." And
Yikes.
I feel like part of the problem is that like I don't think there is a place for it, but there
Mhm.
are a lot of people who treat their relationships with their partner antagonistically. And when you're treating your partner antagonistically, it doesn't make sense for you to communicate honestly with them. Why would you reveal your hand to your opponent?
Okay, yes. And you've talked about this before because I feel like that was one of the things that you said to me that first like perked up my ears and I'm like, "Oh, you different. Oh, you different." Because 100%, if you're working with somebody, it would make sense to freely and openly communicate. But if you're treating it like a game, a puzzle, something you got to figure out to access what you want, with some people, it's mostly either being on the women's side, usually resources, money, gifts, that like materialistic things, and with men, most times, sex, some type of sexual favor, sexual intercourse, what have you, then yeah, there is that unwillingness to openly communicate and just like say what it is.
Well, it's like even if you just think about it a little bit, it's like, okay, I'm a dude. I don't really care about the girl I'm going out with. I just want to have sex. I view it as a like I'm trying to get something out of her. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's a cave, there's a treasure inside, and she's like standing in the way, and that's my relationship with her. Then it totally makes sense that like I don't tell you that I have the money to take you on this date because like that means that I get what I want for a lower cost.
Yeah.
So if I'm not honest with you about what I can afford or whatever or this kind of thing, and I'm always trying to lowball you, like
Yeah.
it totally makes sense if you view it as like an antagonistic game where you're trying to get something out of it. Like I'm always trying to minimize resources, whatever, whatever. If you view it as like a cooperative thing, like I'm gonna go out with this person, I'm gonna go out and try to have a good time with them,
Mhm.
then spending money is just investing in like the situation so both of you can take advantage.
Like, I guess. But kind of going back, I guess, going back to the whole like just taking somebody out on a date. Like I said, I did not think, or I do not think, Cheesecake Factory is a bad first or even second or third date. Maybe if it was like an anniversary or a super special commemorative occasion, maybe it'd be like, we could step it up. But like I don't necessarily think that the Cheesecake Factory is bad. And like recently we saw a list that got published online of apparently a number of women that contributed to this list of places like places that are like what bad first dates or like not a first date, like ideal
Yeah.
first date.
I have the list straight here if you'd like me to we can go through it and comment.
Oh my god. Okay.
Okay, are you
All
ready?
right. Yeah.
Number 1, Cheesecake Factory.
Okay. Bye. It's fine.
2, Applebee's.
Eh.
3, Chili's.
Eh.
See, I've never been to an Applebee's, and I think I've been to Chili's like once.
Yeah, I've been to Chili's once. Chili's is okay. Like Chili's to me reminds me of what you call it? Uh like Moxie's.
Yeah, it's just like a sit down chain place. Like there's a billion
Right.
of them. Yeah,
Right.
it's your Kelsey's, it's your Outback, it's your Lone Star, it's
Yeah.
whatever. Number number 4, Chipotle.
Agree. That's fast food.
I I love Chipotle. I would not take somebody to a date on Chipotle. If
Like no, put it this way. If like let's say you and I had like a day outing where we're like, oh, we're gonna run some errands and go shopping, then I'd be like, babe, let me treat you to lunch. I'm gonna buy you some Chipotle.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Like that's cute, but it's not a date.
yeah, if you're doing other stuff and you decide to step in somewhere for a quick lunch and that place happens to be Chipotle, then fine.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call that like a first date
I
for
wouldn't
me.
I wouldn't plan to go sit down at a Chipotle with somebody.
Okay, fair. Let's
Not
go.
for like a date,
Okay, so
you know?
let's keep going.
Okay, Olive Garden,
Uh-huh.
the movies, it's number 6.
I feel like the movies isn't necessarily the worst option, but I understand why it would be put on a list.
I absolutely hate a movie first date, so I agree with it on the list because I feel like it's like the epitome of like low effort. I just want to get something out of you because it's like you don't even talk.
Well, that's why I was saying, like, I understand why it's not an ideal first date because you're not talking, you're watching something else.
The only thing I would asterisk on it is
Mhm.
like not a drive-in because to me I feel like a drive-in's a different beast because like you're in your own little isolation pod and you can chat up your date if you want to.
True.
So it's like a different experience. But usually when you're supposed to just sit and be quiet, it's like it doesn't matter who you're sitting beside. Come on.
Yeah.
Um,
So the number 6 is the movies. Or not the movies.
yes.
Okay.
Number 6 is the
Yes.
movies.
Number 7.
Number 7 is your house.
100%.
Totally agree.
100%. Do not invite me to your house. First date, I don't know you. You're a serial killer.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Men need to understand that better.
Besides, you don't know if that's their actual house or an Airbnb. Absolutely not.
Well,
Bye.
I feel like it's like some men try to like have it in their heads that like you just radiate some good guy aura that people are supposed to trust and it's like no, like people don't know you, people don't know what your situation is. It makes sense for them to be cautious.
For sure. And
If you
no,
take offense to that, like you're just being dumb.
no, furthermore, if you're inviting a person for the very first time who you don't even know to your house under the expectation of you guys hooking up, you're gonna get robbed. You're gonna get
True.
robbed.
And honestly, that goes for both sides because I've also had friends who have gotten mugged on dates like that.
There you go.
Where it's like you go somewhere and it's not even like I mean, like not even going to their house. I've had friends that like you go on a date and then they try to take you like a weird way,
Yeah,
like to walk them
100%.
home, and then you end up getting jumped, right?
Mm-mm. Okay, so yeah,
Okay.
any fast food chains, that's that.
Oh, you got the list too now.
Yeah, Chipotle also falls under that.
Yeah, honestly, this is part of what I think is the problem with the list on this is like
Mm.
we'll see because it's extensive. It's almost 30
So
points.
unnecessary. Okay.
I feel like part of the problem is like there's even double listings and stuff because it's multiple people. Like this feels like a list that was cobbled together out of like 40 people,
It was.
like putting in random entries because there's double overlaps and stuff like that. And I'm like, guys,
No,
calm down.
definitely. Nobody condensed this. So okay, so there's Buffalo Wild Wings, Wingstop. Those kind of are together. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a first date, would say that like it could be a date night, but not a first date.
You wanna know what? On this one,
Uh huh.
kinda disagree, and I'll give you the logic for it.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge sports fan. These are sports bars. If you wanted to eat something, have a few drinks, and watch a game, it's fine. I think that's fine for a first date.
I mean, I guess it depends on the interest, but
Yeah.
I'm just speaking from my own personal experience. If I know I'm gonna show up looking cute with my nails done, I'm not digging my fingers into wings.
Oh, yeah, that's fair, and don't get me wrong, that's definitely the exact same for me. I wouldn't like, it's not somewhere I would take anybody, but if I knew somebody and they were, like, super into hockey and the hockey game was on, I think that would be, like, a cute first date idea.
Again, but the thoughtfulness has to be put in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so anyways, keep going. So Red Lobster. I don't necessarily have an issue with Red Lobster. Um, but
It's
again,
fine.
I was gonna say seafood is cute, little surf and turf, but I okay. A buffet.
I understand this one.
You understand the buffet?
I do understand why you don't take someone to a buffet on a first date,
Okay, you tell me.
because you like, when you go to a buffet, don't lie. Everyone tries to game the system, and that's like not necessarily like a light part of yourself that you want to showcase on a first date. Do you know what I
Okay,
mean?
valid, valid, valid.
Like if I was like a pro fighter or something, I wouldn't necessarily want to take my first date on somewhere where like I'm fighting, because I don't know if I would want them to see
Watch
me.
me consume 4,000 calories in a sitting.
Or I wouldn't want them to watch me, like, fight somebody and have them be their that be their first impression of me, like, violence or whatever, you know what I mean? So, like,
Okay.
I get it with a buffet, I wouldn't.
All right. So let's see. There's IHOP and Denny's. Those are breakfast places. Uh yes ish for first date. Like yes, I'm kinda understand that. The gym,
Oh, yeah, gym's a hard no.
yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah,
As a first date, no.
Gym deserves to be on that list 100%. Gym
Yeah.
deserves
Not
to
as
be on that list as a 60th date, not just a first date. Like, if you're a couple, you go to
no.
the gym together as an errand. That's not a
Okay, fine.
date.
All right, fair. If you're categorizing it as an errand, then yes, I agree. Church, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. You're not bringing me to be judged under the eyes and guise of the Lord and Savior. Absolutely
okay.
refuse. Um,
17 and 18 obviously deserve to be paired together.
yes,
Starbucks and coffee dates.
yeah, exactly. Same function. Ice cream dates. I feel like ice cream dates have to, unless they're paired with a meal, then they shouldn't be on their own as a first date.
Oh, yeah, I agree. If it's, like, summer and you're, like, meeting up at a beach to, like, walk and hang out and you decide to get ice cream doing that, then that's cool, but, like, just going to get ice cream feels like you didn't really, like, you need a little more on the itinerary on that.
Yeah, for sure.
And we've
Okay,
obviously already extensively talked about coffee dates, so I don't think we need to touch back on that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Family functions, 1,000,000%. I don't even know who did this to this person to even add it to the list. Absolutely not.
Disqualifying. If you brought me to a family event, I
Under
would
the jail.
literally leave.
Absolutely under the jail. Sorry. Movie night kind of goes back to the movies.
Like
Um,
Netflix.
you know, yeah,
See,
somewhere.
this is why there's the overlap, because movie night, if you're saying like Hulu, Netflix, etc., that means you're going to their house,
No,
which we've
for
already
sure.
said is bad.
Well, it's a combination of the movies and the house. So yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely not. Somewhere that requires a long drive. Kind of touches on that with like the whole house thing.
Although I will say on this one, I can have some sympathy, because like what a long drive is to different people is different.
Okay, that's fair.
Like to me, like if it's less than 30 minutes, it's not really a long drive.
Okay, that's cool. So let's see. Bowling. Um, bowling can be cute if done right. Nightclubs, I agree. That should never be a first date.
Yeah, nightclubs definitely hit the same like theater thing of like you're not really talking to each other, you know?
Right. And then let's see, a hookah bar that gives the same vibe as nightclubs. A bar just for drinks gives the same vibe as nightclubs and hookah bars. um, Waffle House again in the same vein of IHOP and Denny's. And then sports events. What do you think about taking somebody to a sports event, like at arena?
Yeah, I definitely think it comes down to, again, like thoughtfulness. Like if it's something you guys both enjoy and you both talk about, and like
Mhm.
definitely like looking at people's profiles, there are people who'd be like, "I love basketball, whatever." Then fine, yeah, go to a basketball game. That's cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I could definitely see a horror story of like I have a friend who's like does wrestling and makes money on it, and I could see like a horror story of like bringing someone to like a local wrestling event, and like those are fun, but I like those. If
Right,
you're like
right.
not into that scene, like I could see it being very strange.
So, okay, so I feel like the overall messaging or the overall response to this is that, like, a first date can, in theory, be anywhere with the appropriate thoughtfulness behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like
Aside from somebody's house, don't do that.
yeah, don't go to
Mm.
but yeah, no, definitely like even listening to like, just getting some drinks, ice cream date, coffee. If you're doing like a date zero and you're just like scoping each other out and feeling the vibe, I think those are great. But as a first date, they're a little scant. Like we can do
Yeah,
better. We can spend a little bit more time with one another, you know?
for sure. For sure, 100%. Like, those ones, like, I will admit myself when I was uh dating and like whatever. Whenever somebody would be like, "Oh, can we do a coffee date or whatever?" And I'm like, no, no. Like, I would rather prefer to like sit down, have a meal, get to know you. Because like, put it this way, coffee dates don't tell me if you're a vegetarian. Coffee dates don't tell me like give us an opportunity to discuss certain topics or matters. It seems very like rushed, very on the go, where you can miss something. And then the other part, I guess, that makes me different from maybe some other people that are expecting perhaps a more uh, laid out, planned date is that, like, if the vibe's not there and we decide to go on this date and it's just not hitting, I'm going to pay for my meal. Like,
Right.
I'm not, again, I'm not that kind of person that's just like, I want to be taken out because I can't necessarily afford to go out to a certain place. Like if I know I can't afford the bill, I ain't going there.
Well, it's not even that you can't afford it. Some people just want free shit.
Oh, definitely people want free shit.
Absolutely.
But I'm just saying you never know in a situation. Like, okay, remember the story we heard about the oyster gate? Where the girl decided was like,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah.
I'm
Oh
gonna."
yeah.
Okay, so this girl said, I'm gonna give this guy a chance. He's been wanting to take me out for a long ass time, and I wanted to record content for social media. So I told him to meet me at this lounge. We're gonna go to this
Boy,
particular
howdy, did
place.
she get some content.
Oh my god! So they went out to this place, and this place happened to be an oyster bar, and they had a special $15 for a dozen oysters. He, to his defense, said like, "Oh yeah, let's go meet up and have some drinks and whatever." She's like, "All right, let's go to this place." So he's like, "All right, bet." They go to this oyster bar. This girl orders not one, not two, not three, but four plates, 4 dozen oysters that she allegedly ate all to herself. Okay? 48 fucking oysters. And then started ordering her meal.
Turned to the man and was like, "What's for the main course?"
Right? And the thing was, like, I'm not even judging her for like, girl, eat whatever you want to eat. If you want to eat your 48 oysters, that's fine. But like the impression was kind of that you expected it to be on this man's dime.
She was going for the bag.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. The vibe was giving, you know, he was taking me out and like, so she ordered like 2 drinks, these 48 oysters, a meal, and I think a dessert. I'm not 100% sure. It was him. The bill afterwards was like over $100 for the whole shebang bang. He dipped.
He didn't even order anything, by the way. The bill's $100, and I think he ordered like one drink, paid for it, and ran.
Yeah, like he dipped
Yeah.
before that bill came out. And so
Well,
she had to pay for the bill, obviously. She paid for her bill. And then she was just like texting him like, "Boy, well, like why are you dieting and dashing? Like that's not cute." And criticizing him, but he was just like, "Girl, you like I ain't about to be paying for all of them damn fucking oysters. Like, are you mad?" And again, I'm of two minds about it, but it shows me there was a lack of communication to manage expectations. She's wrong as hell on her part to just dial him up because she felt like it, because that's how you know she was just seeking an opportunity. And where I feel like he was wrong was from the top. Even when she's like, "Oh, I'm thinking about getting some oysters and da da da," da," he could have been like, "All right, that's cool. Like, I kind of have a bit of a limited budget, so like, if you want to order a couple of oysters, that's cool. But like, I can cover about X."
But what if when you say that, it's like, you're not gonna get any, and like that's why you're on the date. Like this is what I mean about like antagonism, right? Is like
Yeah.
why was there not communication? Because she wanted it to be ambiguous so she could get away with it because she knew that he wouldn't agree to it if she didn't do it this way.
And I'm just saying, but like, that's where we get these weird, cringy, awkward moments, and I can't stand it.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's so awkward. It's so awkward. So now people are all up and down social media dragging her. They just can't go for the fact 48 oysters? 48. 48 oysters? And I'm not gonna lie, even me. I'm like, I don't eat oysters. Just for perspective. Like, I'll have mussels. I have an occasional clam.
But like
But
also
48
showing
oysters?
just
Mm-mm.
showing up and before the man even orders a meal, just being like, yeah, give me $60, give me $70.
Right. 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 I mean,
It's a lot of money,
damn.
man. That's a lot of money to be surprised with. Imagine if you got a surprise bill for $75.
But I think what rocked him wasn't even the fact that she ordered the 4 plates of oysters. I think he was like, oh, it seemed I wasn't there. That he was okay-ish until she then started ordering her food afterwards.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's what really like rocked him. Like,
I
whoa, 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 whoa,
I
whoa, whoa,
I
whoa,
could
whoa, whoa.
100% feel this man inside his head being like, "Okay, I had this budget for a date. Okay, she ate all the oysters. I won't be able to eat. That sucks, but I can pay for these plates and these 2 drinks and we'll be good." And then she tries to do a main course and is expecting you to join her, and you're like, "Bro, this is now a $300 date. Bye."
Yeah, it was
3 I was expecting to spend 150 and now we're up to 3. No,
No, it
thank
wasn't up to
you.
3. It was after the meal and everything. It came up to like over $100. But yeah,
But
you're right. If he ordered his meal and a dessert and multiple drinks, that could easily climb.
yeah, absolutely. If you were to sit there and then add 2 entrees to that, you're easily a $300 dinner. Or sorry, $200 dinner. Easy with tip and then taxes and all that kind of stuff. Easy, 200.
For sure. And the thing is, like, some people will say, oh, 200 is not a big deal. Okay, and that's fine. But to some people, 200 is a lot. I've had I've had guys be very honest with me and say, like, oh, I want to take you out, but I don't think I have enough money. I need to work and save up to take me out, which is cute. But in reality, that also shows me that if we were expected or supposed to date continuously, and have a courting season, that season won't be dry as fuck because you can't, like, I'm gonna be waiting to be taken out once a month so you can save up. That just shows we're not really quite aligned, and that's okay. But like, it is what it
It's tough.
is. It
I have
yeah.
opinions, we're running a little long, so I'll save it for another time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we'll part that. We'll part that. But child, I don't know. Dating is rough out here. It just makes me appreciate the lovely mister that I have, because between Cheesecake Gate and Oyster Gate, I can't. Mm-mm. That's way too much. Girls are out. City girls down by 10 at this point. No, down a dozen for damn oysters. So I don't know. Be sure to share your thoughts. Let me know. Message me on social media. Follow the page at This Black Girl Podcast on Instagram. Again, it has been your girl Lola, aka Ola. That's not Lola without the H. Thank you again for joining us for another week. We will be here next week. So have a wonderful day, evening, uh, week, season, wherever you're listening to us. And we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.